Thank you, Louise, for this opportunity, and I'm always grateful that I am a cancer survivor. 17 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, base of the tongue, metastasized into both sides of my neck, and the initial diagnosis was very frightening. Depending upon the sources that you relied upon, my chances of 2-year survival was anywhere from 30% chance to 50%. And if you're diagnosed with cancer, stage 4, and you hear those type of numbers, it's a real mental challenge to, not get down. It's normal to get down, but the best thing you can do is develop a winning attitude and determine that you're going to fight and you're going to win. And one of the things I told one of my doctors early on, when he was telling me those numbers, I said, wow, that means I got a 70% chance of surviving. I like that. So you have to keep that positive attitude. It helps you with the being with your family, your friends, and also helps you take your treatment better if you have a positive attitude. I struggled with allergies throughout my life, and so there was a lot of times I would feel off. It was related to my allergy, but one of the things that started happening, I started noticing a small bump in my throat, and I thought, wow, that's strange. So I kind of
treatment right away?
No, well, what I did, I just ignored it, and so for a period of a month or two, it just kept growing and growing. So I went to a allergist, and I said, hey, what do you think about this? And the doctor very quickly just said, it might be a lymph node. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to give you some antibiotics, and let's see what happens. Well, I wasn't sure I had an infection or anything going on, but that was an easy answer, and I said, yeah, that's good. Let's just do that, take antibiotics, go. So I took the antibiotics for 2 weeks or whatever it was, and a month or two went by, and it kept getting larger. So I went back to see the same doctor, and I said, hey, this thing keeps growing. And the doctor said, yeah, I really don't know what that's all about, Steve, but he says, I'll tell you what we'll do, if it doesn't go away within a couple of months, we probably ought to get a biopsy on it. And I said, oh, okay, great. So I left, but I was thinking, I don't know if that's right. So, but I was in my comfort zone just to ignore it, so I ignored it. And finally I decided, I don't feel right, I'm gonna go see another doctor. So I went and saw a general practitioner, and he was checking over my general health, and I showed him my lump in my neck, and he said, Steve, he says, that doesn't feel right. He says, I'm going to refer you to an ear, nose, and throat, Dr. Eddie Goldman. And I said, well, I know Eddie, sure, I'll go. So it alarmed me that this doctor, first visit, first time, says this doesn't feel right. Now, I've been living with this bump in my throat for 6 months, right? So, and I had seen the same doctor three previous times who did not react to it. So I go see Eddie Goldman, and he immediately thought, that's not right, we need to do a biopsy. And he did a biopsy, and sure enough, it came back as a squamous cell carcinoma. And he originally diagnosed it as stage 3, but Eddie decided, because it was a very aggressive form of cancer, that he recommended I go to MD Anderson for treatment. So that's how I ended up at MD Anderson. Men by nature are very private. We kind of have this, we rub dirt on a wound. That's what we're taught as a kid. Shake it off. Don't be, feeling sorry for yourself. So men have a different psychic and mentality than women, I think. And so we're not as willing to reach out and discuss private issues. So that's very typical of me. I felt that I wasn't feeling right, but I didn't really want to alarm anybody, and so the best strategy I could develop was just ignore it. Just ignore my body, ignore the symptoms, and just push ahead. Just keep going forward, and everything's going to be okay. I've been a man my whole life, and I'm a knucklehead, and that's not a unique characteristic of men. I have worked with, now that I'm a cancer survivor, and 17 years, I've been very active, and I've literally worked with hundreds of cancer patients, and I can tell you that men, by and large, are more hesitant to proceed with checkup. They want to get things resolved quickly. They want quick answers. And I fell into that same category. Instead of following through with getting some additional advice, additional opinions, I just kept everything to myself. So, one of the things I really appreciate what you and your group are trying to do is to encourage men to be proactive. I waited till my disease was stage 4, but honestly, Louise, my cancer was found when it was stage 2, and I know for a fact that the cure rate for stage 1 and 2 cancer is over 90%. You wait till stage 3 and stage 4, there's still a very high cure rate, but the treatment and the journey is so much more difficult. And in so many cases, when I talk to these cancer patients, they're just like me. There was early warning signs, but they did what knuckleheads do: we ignored them. I am personally working with some community leaders to try to improve healthcare in El Paso, and there's so many dedicated people that are working to try to do exactly what you're talking about. We're trying to help figure out a way to make quality healthcare accessible to everybody. And there's been various projects that I've worked with, and I don't feel comfortable in quoting them because I may get them wrong, but where we have tried to reach out and encourage men. I know the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation for years had a program where they were trying to help get early diagnosis, and there is a correlation between affluency and healthcare, and that concerns us, a lot of the civic leaders. Quality healthcare needs to be available to everybody, no matter what your economic source is, and we need to get the people that aren't as privileged to be able to get early diagnosis too. Their life is just as important and valuable as anybody else's, and really and truly, in the end, it's good investment, because treatment early on is less expensive, and it lets a person be more productive. So, if you just want to be cold-blooded, it's a good investment. Healthcare for everybody is a really good investment.
Is there anybody you'd like to thank now that we have an opportunity here?
When you start trying to thank people, but a couple of people that come to my mind as local physicians. Dr. Eddie Goldman, who was very tuned in and quick to determine that something was wrong. And then Dr. Jesus Gomez, who's my local oncologist. Once you're a cancer patient, there is a higher probability you could have a recurrence. So I go for checkups every 4 to 5 months, and Dr. Gomez is a very compassionate, excellent doctor. So those are my 2 local doctors, and it's a team. The way you win a battle with cancer is with a team. So the great doctors here locally will know when they need an outside source and reference. So if you have good medical care like I did, I originally was diagnosed here locally, and then I completed my treatment here locally. But fortunately, my doctors had the wisdom to bring in an ally.